Welcome. How's it going?
Fine. You? Is it working? It's not working.
Is it not working?
It's not working. It is?
Is this working?
Is it? Hello? Hello?
So welcome back to
project. It's fine.
welcome back to Toronto. You literally
Thank you.
came here straight from the airport.
Yes.
So congratulations on making it.
Congratulations on the slutty outfit. I'm sorry. I feel naked.
I don't think anybody minds. So maybe talk about the two films.
So many holes in that.
You're here with two. You're here with two films, and not just normally you've come here as a writer and director of your own work, but you also are here as an actor in a film called Elephant-Song. So maybe talk about, just to start things off, about both Mommy and Elephant-Song, and for anybody that's not in the know, why they should go see them.
All right. Well, so Mommy is my fifth feature film, and is a sort of reunion with Andor Val, who was my mom, and I Killed My Mother. Although the two movies are completely opposite, they have nothing in common. It's still, the mother and son bond, which I wanted to, go back to, I guess. Well, I never really left it. It's always in the movies somewhere, but in my movies, I mean. But yeah, so it tells the story of Diane, actually, who is this very energetic, feisty widow, single mom. There's a lot of adjectives for only one person, but and she is suddenly burdened with the full-time custody of her behaviorally disordered, I don't know if that's politically correct to say it that way, but behaviorally disordered child who is expelled from a correctional facility center, and she inherits his custody, and she has to, make ends meet, and she tries to bring him up the best she can, and she is graced with the help of this strange neighbor with a stutter, is how I'm going to describe this character, who's named Kyla, and who's a new girl across the street, and who offers her help in a benevolent manner, and they just they become friends, and it lasts as long as it can until shit hits the fan. And why should you see it? You should see it because
You don't have to say why. I mean,
okay.
You should all see
All
it.
right.
Like, it just should be assumed at this point. But yeah, an Elephant-Song.
Elephant-Song is a movie about how I'm not able in English to pronounce the word elephant. There's something, the emphasis is not right. I mean, I've been really struggling with pronouncing that word. Anyway, so Elephant-Song is the story of, I guess, a patient in a mental facility who wakes up one day and there is this psychiatrist that's missing in action, and the only person to actually know where this man might be is this very arrogant, manipulative, very far from who I am character, Michael, who starts, manipulating everybody and telling them, I know where he is, but you will play this game by my rules, and I will eventually lead you to where this psychiatrist is, and it's just a mind of games, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of blows my mind that you're very prolific. You make on average a film a year, with the exception of 1 year over the past 6 years, and then you still make these 5 amazing films. Then you have the time to go act in someone else's film. I mean, what made you decide that you wanted to do that?
Well, decide. I mean, I've started this almost, I want to say career, but I think it's life as an actor. I was 3 or 4 when I first acted, and it's just what really interests me in directing movies anyway is directing actors and working with actors and understanding acting and either acting with them or directing them. I'm still acting with actors, even though I'm not on screen. I'm behind the camera, and I got the video and my assist in my hands, and I'm like hiding like a rat, and I'm like giving them notes like that and talking to them constantly. So it's like it's a constant interaction with actors. So what made me want to? I mean, it's a great part. I think it's very expansive. It's very it's a generous part. It's fun. It's sort of the bad guy. He's described as having lots of charisma and lying and making fun of everybody. And it's a playful, I guess, role. But I was shooting Mommy right before the shooting of Elephant Song started, so I wrapped the first part of the shoot for Mommy, and then went to Elephant Song like 2 days later.
I just don't know how you find that energy.
Me neither. That's why I had a nervous breakdown that spring.
Well, here's hoping that that's your final nervous breakdown. So let's go back to Mommy. I mean, you talked about working with actors, and Andor Bell and Suzanne Clement, who are you've already given these amazing roles in a couple of your films, are incredible in this movie. It's a really testament to not just you, but to their talents as actresses. They're both incredible. So maybe you just want to talk about your working relationship with Suzanne and Anne, because clearly you guys seem like you get along.
We do. Well, I've known Anne and Suzanne forever. My relationship with Anne constantly moves from mother to friend to sister to, and then sometimes I'm like her father, taking care of her or whatever. This is maybe unfathomable, but it is true. And so we have this very rich relationship where I've spent so many hours, so many days at her place around Christmas. Her children always leave to their father's cottage in the country, and I always like sort of move in her house, and we watch movies, and we just go to New York or whatever. It's been like this forever. And Suzanne, I'd say it's basically the same thing, although they don't have they have different lives. And they believed in I Killed My Mother and believed in me. I had no experience at all, no credibility as nothing when I did when I brought up I Killed My Mother to them, and they still endorsed that and embraced the whole thing. And it was a sort of shitty indie film. When we were shooting it, I mean, it was sort of that's what it is in the end, I hope. But what I mean is that they were very comprehensive, and they embraced the whole thing. And then we've shared great memories. Our first Cannes together at the Directors Fortnight, and they just inspire me. I'm going to write, I don't only write parts for these women, I write movies, for them. I can hear their voice. I know them, and I think that what's really challenging me and challenging them is that we share a common desire for things that are extremely far from what they've done and themselves. And since I know them so well in real life, it's I think it's cool to write. Well, not cool. That's a dumb word, but I mean, I think it's challenging for me and them to write roles that bring them somewhere else, and where we can on set say, no, here I can recognize you, and here you did that, and here I can see your little eye thing, and it's just, and then we watch the whole thing, and we are satisfied with the conviction that they truly went somewhere else. I think that any director has the ambition or dream of hearing someone say, oh, that actor in his movie, we've never seen him like this before. It's sometimes you can achieve it, sometimes you cannot. Depends on the movie, I guess, depends on the actors. But I think that's sort of that was our goal with Mommy. That Anne would be completely different from her mother part in I Killed My Mother, and that Suzanne, who we've seen in more Latin, hysterical performances, would be a little less, would have a stutter and be neurotic and would not say a word.
Yeah, I mean, and that all worked out exactly the way that you wanted it to.
Thank you.
And what I have to say with Mommy, you talked about going to Cannes. You went to Cannes for the first time when you were 19 with I Killed My Mother.
Yeah, 20.
20? Oh, sorry. Anyway, you're 25 now, and you've made 5 feature films, and I feel like, there was, not to be offensive, but people were apprehensive to give you a certain kind of respect because of your age, I feel. And I feel sincerely that with Mommy, that changed. You went to Cannes, blew everyone away, you won an award, and now you're coming here with Toronto. I mean, how does it feel? Do you feel like you had to prove something, and that with Mommy that kind of finally came into fruition?
Yes. Yes, it's it's I read all of the reviews. Since the very beginning, I've read all the reviews for my movies. I collect them in huge scrapbooks. No, I don't, but I mean I read them all. I'm interested in what people say, and I cannot count the times that I've read very negative reviews and that it's been highly educational and very that I actually found things interesting and thought, oh, maybe I should change that or adjust that or whatever. But some of them are also extremely hateful towards, I'd say, not the movies themselves, but me. And I know that for some people I have no credibility because I'm young and I guess people think I'm brash and whatever. They have this idea of me, even though they've never met, and they just base their opinions on short filmed interviews where they think that's who he is. But really you can't really tell who someone is before you've met them. But my movies are also so personal that I feel like the people hating my movies would be people hating me, sort of, because I put so much of my privacy in my personal stories in my movies that's how I feel. But with Mommy, yeah, I've read some people finally writing reviews in a tone and in a fashion where it doesn't read off anymore as someone is correcting my homework. Giving me a tap on the shoulder and saying, "Congratulations, kid." So. And that's great. And you know what? I'm just back from Telluride, and it was. Can I talk about it here? We were like 25, and I was like the baby, and I was looking at everybody, and I was like, thank you for making me feel like I belong in a community of people. And directors were not condescending towards me. They were not like, because it happened in the past, these famous or infamous dinners where you sit and there's a dumb napkin in the shape of a swan or whatever, and you are with 3 sponsors and 1 wife and 1 useless uncle or whatever, and because you're not cool enough to be, you're not hot enough to be at someone else's table, and they don't know who you are, and you're like, and it's just it's awkward, and I don't know why I started to tell that story about the table
I get
and the
it.
swan napkin and
Mommy
everything.
is letting you sit at the big boys table now, and that's what you've always wanted.
I'm sitting at a cool table now. I'm happy.
Maybe it's time to open this up to the audience, right? There's some right there. Or,
Should I choose?
yeah, you choose.
Oh no, really?
I don't know. No. Right there in the second row. You get to stand up first.
I was just wondering, because you've been working so quickly, how long does it typically take when you have an idea for a new movie to arrive at a draft that you're ready to stand behind and take to camera?
Well, empirically speaking, based on, let's take like Mommy. Lawrence anyways took like 3 years to write. Mommy, I wrote I heard this song from Ludovico Einaudi, who's a great composer, and a friend was like playing outside, was like, "What is that song? It's great. I love it." And by hearing that song, I wrote. There's a dream sequence in Mommy where the character of Di sorts of foresees dreams the life that she'll never have. And it's a sort of flash forward, and this is the first scene I wrote because I heard that song, and then I wrote the script all around that that sequence, that precise sequence. But I'd say that happened in May, that I wrote the first scene. So May 20. What year is this? 2014.
It's 2014. Yes,
okay,
yes.
all right. I know that.
Awesome.
I know that. I'm not. I know that. It was in 2013, and the script was ready in July. We submitted the script to Telefilm Canada, and we were shooting in October. And it's always been sort of like that, writing scripts in the summer, Because when you're back from a festival, you're like, oh, there was this huge void. You go home and you know, you're like pressing buttons of the alarm system, and then there's the silence, and then the anxiety, and you just I feel like I have to, you know, I sort of see what's coming, and when there's nothing, I'm like, and yeah, I'm sort of worried that, you know, I have nothing to do or nothing to create, or that you know, I'm sort of waiting in between, you know, shootings. So yeah, I would say 6 months until it's shot, and then with the post production, obviously, it's, you know, it's a little less than a year, maybe 8 months.
Other questions? There beside the person who just talked last time.
Thanks. I understand the intimacy of like putting part of yourself into your own writing and then bringing that to the screen. Do you ever consider that you would be interested in exploring how to bring that level of depth as a director to somebody else's story?
Yes, sure. I've been submitted some scripts. Some of them were good. I just couldn't commit because I was already shooting something else. But should a script, you know, read off as interesting and would represent a sort of challenge for me to, you know, I guess if I related to anything, or if I could foresee in a script the opportunities of, you know, surpassing myself and working with inspiring actors, and then yes, I do it. It's a matter of this is what you were asking, right? If I would direct other people's scripts, yeah. Oh no, sure, yeah. I'm not. I write about things that I know and that I've lived so far, or that I think I know. But you know, motherhood, you know, mother and son bond dynamics, unrequited love stories. These are all fields where I feel like that I can have a solid foundation to a script and then add the fiction. But if I read a script that seemed compelling and varied, I would do it. Sure.
We have time for one more.
Really? This is really short.
Right, sure.
Give long answers, actually.
Hi, Xavier. Ça marche? I just wanted to say, well, I have a question, but I would also wanted to say that I love the fact that you're a great filmmaker that also does LGBT films. You know, you're a great filmmaker first, and you just have characters that happen to be LGBT, like in life. And I was wondering, I love the film Lawrence anyways. And I'm also working on an LGBT sex farce that I'm going to shoot in Quebec that also has a transgendered character. And I was wondering, how did you research Lawrence anyways? Quelle sorte de recherche que
You're
t'as
not going to
fait?
like my answer.
Oh.
Thank you first. Thank you very much. This is a sort of debate that's ongoing with the fact that you are gay doesn't mean that you're doing gay movies, and, you know, vice versa. Anyway, thank you for mentioning that. The research was not very thorough. You know, I wanted to tell a love story. I know Lawrence, anyways, is not really appreciated by the transgender community because it's, you know, first, I did not give the part to a real transgendered women. There's this already. I never really considered, you know, this, or never really wanted to hurt, you know, anyone's battles, or disrespect their you know, battles, their fights over the years, and disrespect that community. I didn't feel like I needed to underline in felt tip, you know, thick felt tip pen all these endeavors, and have the famous, you know, lipstick in the mirror scene, you know, and I just, so I didn't feel like I had to do that, you know, a lot of research. I met with one transgendered, I met with one woman who, you know, who gave me the Coles notes of her own, you know, her own journey to become a woman. But that's basically it. You know, I wanted to know very practical things, like the fact that hormones will never affect your voice. You can affect it, but you can change it, but the hormones will not make your voice more feminine. that is something that seemed relevant at the time, you know, for the actor to know what he had to do. But then it was a love story, really. And it's not that I'm coy or about these things. It's that I believe in a filmmaking, in an approach in filmmaking when it comes to LGBT themes that doesn't stress anything, and that doesn't, you know, that doesn't claim anything. I believe in it being a part of of society and part of the story, and you know, not to be in the background, but just to, you know, not be up front so much. It's not a documentary about, you know, transgendered people. It's the same way that, you know, a character is not defined by his homosexuality. I think that's really important. So I did not do a lot of research for Lawrence, anyways.
I like that you're not preachy, but it just is. It's part of life.
It is part of life. This is the way we were made. They were made. This is it.
I agree.
And I think, do we have time?
Yes.
Do we? One more. Okay, great. One more. I think that you were first in the back there. Yes. I think someone's
You can
coming.
just yell.
Someone's coming with one.
Hi, thank you. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As an actress in Toronto, I'm really interested in finding out from you your casting process for your films. Since you're from Quebec, like, is the casting done there? Do you have anything Toronto-based? Just looking, I would love to work with you in the future. Just putting it out there.
Okay. All right. Duly noted. I've mostly cast all my movies myself without casting directors.
Oh,
I
okay.
write with people in mind. Also, I've been doing dubbing forever. This is mostly how I would spend my teenage years, dubbing movies in French. And a lot of actors who only do dubbing movies for whatever reason, you know, sometimes it's their own personal choice, sometimes it's just life that was made that way. So I love to give them little, you know, gigs here and there in my movies, because I think, you know, that it's fresh to see new faces and discover some people.
Yeah.
But I will, in general, write mostly for people that I know or people whom I admire and want to work with. But you know, I'm in the midst of casting an American movie right now, and I'll definitely be working with casting directors because there are like 700 parts in it. It's crazy. It's going to be very long. I mean, the movie.
Thank you.
But I would cast in Toronto eventually, I guess. So who knows? Who knows? That was a weird accent. Who knows? Who knows? I may. Sorry.
You're starting to sound English Canadian. You're spending too much time here. Yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks so much for being here. And,
Thank you. I hope it was not awkward. Sorry.
And Mommy premieres tonight here. It's tonight at the Princess of Wales.
Yes, 9:30.
From what I understand, they're all sold out anyway.
very
so
informed.
You guys can stand outside in the rush line. And then Elephant Song is tomorrow night. Yes.
Yes, correct. And I mean, I have like 12 remaining tickets, and I'm waiting to, you know, hear from people. Or if I don't, I mean, I'll just give them in the street and be like, yay. So if you're around and
So follow him around for the next couple hours, and
all you have to
maybe
do.
you'll get a ticket to his movie.